Yesterday, I turned 103. In my mind, I'm still just 25. I can't say how all my time flew away, but I know now how to pray. Because I lived through wars across the board. I've seen Paris and Hawaiian shores. How many presidents have reigned and wept? I'm still here after all these years. The best has yet, the best has yet. I'm still here after all these years. The best has yet, the best has yet. I'm still here after all these years. I saw the first real aeroplane, rode in motor cars that Ford first trained. I marched for peace and civil rights with the suffragettes. When will those damn terrorists find eternal rest? Because I've lived through wars across the board, seen Paris and Hawaiian shores. How many presidents have reigned and wept?
Noir with Johnny Mystic, Mystic Noir, show number 12. We're excited tonight to have some great guests. And right now we'd like to thank our sponsors. First of all, thanks to Leah Totzer and Daniel Gale Sotheby's Realty. We'd like to thank the Cabana, and we'd like to thank the Cafe. We'd like to thank Angel Flower Creations, Yvonne Santana, who's setting up again this weekend. She wanted to let you guys know on Arizona Avenue, selling her homemade masks and jewelry. And also Arts in the Plaza and Studio Noir, my music school and recording studio. That last track you were listening to is called The Best Is Yet, and it's from the Astral Tourist release from Johnny Mystic and the Spirit Guides.
Yes.
So yeah, that was pretty awesome. I love that recording there.
I did write it several years ago. Ben, you recall that I actually performed it in Long Beach at one of the rock festivals several years ago. It was written for a lady who actually lived to 103, and they asked me to write a song about her. And I thought, well, I'll just write it in first person, like what it might be like, and to be around for that long. And I put it in the period that I felt she had probably come from. And so it has no political background.
It has great lyrics, man. There's a great story in there. Also, the artwork you saw there was by Barry Orkin, the Astral Tourist cover. It's a work in progress, but it's a lovely piece there. You could also see that in Good Times magazine. We have sitting between us Richard Bronsefort, and he is an amazing guy, and more about him in a second. I also would like to announce that Johnny and I we're doing a secret show November 19th. If you're interested, there it is, a flyer. It's with a couple of other artists. Logan Whaley is one of them. The Covert Connector is one of the producers or the producer. So thanks to Brian Glick, and more about that. What else? So yeah, so this album, The Astral Tourist, we're like about to give birth. Are you ready to give birth to the baby, John?
Oh, it's coming out of me. I don't know. Is that what it's like? What do I know? We have a lady friend here in the audience. No, it's been coming out for years now already.
It's been coming out. It's been coming out. We're looking for some help distributing. We could do it ourselves, but we're really reaching out to the community. So through this show as well, just to get the word out, we do not have an official distributor or record label, so we're interested in hooking up with anybody like that. Now, again, tonight is a tour de force in the entertainment world. An example that if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So why really go anywhere? We have Richard Bronsefort, the creator of Good Times magazine. Everybody give him a round of applause. He's, Rich, 50 years ago, you were like thinking about going to Woodstock, or you were doing a lot of things, and you started this entertainment paper. So we're just going to give you the opportunity to tell us about, maybe a little bit about your childhood environment and your education. What led to Good Times?
Well, actually, it's kind of interesting that you mentioned Woodstock. One of the reasons I started Good Times back in 1969 was I wanted to get free tickets to Woodstock. Also wanted to get free record albums, and I thought, wow, this would be great. I could do this newspaper. I'll do it for a year or two, and then I'll do something else. I was working at AT&T at the time. I had turned down a job working for Jimi Hendrix, and I had an interview to do job as a publicist for Hendrix. One of the guys that was in my marketing class said, Rich, I know you love music. I know you like to write. My brother handles Jimi Hendrix, does all the public relations. He's looking for a guy. Are you interested? I said, wow, of course, this sounds great. Jimi Hendrix. So I went down and I did the interview, and they said, okay, listen, there's a couple of things, we want to tell you. Salary's $95 a week, and it's for 3-month trial. We want to see how you do. And I said to him, well, can you tell me what I'd be doing? I mean, I guess I'd be writing press releases and stuff, right? And he said, well, no, not exactly. He says, Jimmy has a problem, and it's not what you think. The problem is that he might have been a guitar god. Now, this was 1968 when I was doing the interview, but he constantly got stiffed by club owners. So they wanted someone who would travel all over the United States with Jimmy and collect the money from bar owners at the end of the gig. Now, I had also had a job offer from AT&T at the amazing salary of $210 a week. So I said, oh, let me think about this. So I thought about it, and I said, well, I don't know. I just spent 2 years getting my master's degree. I got to pay for that. $95, $210. But the reason I turned the job down was I said, I don't want to be collecting money from bars. Never realizing that 51 years later, I would have spent my entire adult life collecting money from bar owners in 7 different states where I've had newspapers. And to this day, after I leave here, I'm going to go out and collect money from some bars. But back then, it didn't seem like it was going to be great. So I took the job with AT&T. I lasted 3 months, and I quit, and I started the paper full-time, Good Times Magazine. Originally, it was called Action World. We had to change the name because everybody thought we were a porno newspaper. That's when Screw and the other magazines were all on the newsstand.
Al Goldstein,
yeah, so we'd be on the newsstand, and it would be Screw and all the other magazines, and then next to it would be Action World. So I changed the name in 1972 to Good Times. So that was kind of how we started the paper. And again, I thought I'd do it for a year or two. Again, never figuring that 51 years later, we'd be still doing it. And the concept hasn't changed. I mean, we believe in local music. There's a lot of great talent here. I mean, sitting next to me is a good example of what Long Island music's all about. Ben knows that I've been a fan of his since 2013 when he came in second in the Long Island Music Festival that Good Times Magazine ran. I thought he should have won. But, there's an amazing amount of good talent here on Long Island, and one of the missions of Good Times Magazine is very simply to try and expose the artists to people in the industry, people that might not normally know about them, or kind of be their intermediary. And at the same time, we've had more than our share of successes with covering big national acts. I don't know if you want me to get into it yet, but
oh yeah, definitely. Like in general, like talk to us a little bit. Can you flash that the photo from 1973 again on the screen? So this was
that's the gold standard you're looking at there. The famous Eat a Peach interview with Duane Allman. Now, the reason it was famous was because we sent someone, a young writer from Hofstra, down to interview Duane Allman, and she did a phenomenal job. She didn't come back for a week. And then she handed in her article. We ran the article in the paper, and the name of the article was called Eat a Peach. So about a year later, we get a letter from Capricorn Records saying that Duane Allman thought that the interview he did with Ellen Mandel from Good Times Magazine was one of the best interviews he ever did. He loved it. And would we be willing to let him name his new album Eat a Peach? Which, of course, we said yes. Now, if you look in Wikipedia, you'll see that this is the true story of how Eat a Peach album got named. Some people think that there was a rumor that he was killed by a peach truck and Barry Oakley was killed by a truck also. But actually, it all started with Good Times Magazine here on Long Island. So Dwayne was number one of what we like to call a Good Times Magazine, the Trinity. Okay. Number two was Bruce Springsteen. 1974, 75. I hired somebody to work for me I knew real well. He went on to become vice president of Epic Records. But when I hired him, he was driving cars between Kennedy and LaGuardia for Hertz. And I hired him to be my managing editor and to write about music and to kind of organize the paper. One day he came to me and said, Rich, I got this guy I want to put on the cover of Good Times Magazine. And he says, you've never heard of him, but Crawdaddy Magazine and this writer named John Landau, who later became Springsteen's personal manager, are going to do the first interview in the United States with Bruce Springsteen.
Wow.
So can we go with it? I looked at him and I said to him, Glenn, do you really think this guy's going to be big? And he says, oh, yeah, absolutely. So I said, go ahead and do it. So two things happened out of that. We did the interview with Bruce Springsteen. We had to send the writer and the photographer up to Boston to do the interview with him. And two things happened from that. My photographer, Mary Alfieri, an 18-year-old girl from Queens College, shot the photos. And later on, Newsday and Time both wanted to put Bruce Springsteen on their cover when he became really big. Nobody had pictures of Bruce Springsteen. So they contacted us and said, do you have pictures of Bruce Springsteen? So Mary Alfieri, 18 years old, got $500 and got the cover of Newsweek magazine. Anybody who has that issue with Springsteen on the cover, Good Times photographer shot that. So that was the first thing that happened. The second thing that happened is a little while later, Glenn came into my office and he closed the door. Said, can I talk to you? Now, as an owner, you never want to hear that from an employee because you know they're usually not closing the door to tell you what a great job you've been doing as their boss. And he says, I'm going to be leaving Good Times Magazine. And I was shocked. I said, Glenn, I can't believe that you want to leave Good Times. Aren't you happy here? And he says, oh, yeah, very, very happy here. He said, but I just got offered a job as Bruce Springsteen's tour publicist. So that's how it started. He became tour publicist, then he became publicist for Epic Records. Then he went on to not only become vice president of Epic Records, but he won the Grammy Award for the Forrest Gump soundtrack compilation, which he put together. So that was number two of the Trinity. And number three, I'm wearing tie-dye to celebrate Jerry Garcia, the Grateful Dead. Real simple. We wanted to put Jerry Garcia on the cover of Good Times, but we could never get through his publicity people, through his record company. We'd call him up. We want to interview Jerry. Never got back to you. So the Dead were playing at Queens College in Colden Auditorium. So at that time, my music editor, who looked like Jerry Garcia, said, I want to cover the show. So he goes to Colden Auditorium, and the Dead are rehearsing in Colden. And he was a Queens College student. I was a Queens College student. We were all Queens College alumni. So at one point, he climbed on stage while Garcia was practicing and said, my newspaper wants to do an interview with you and you won't call back. And Garcia was taken back. First of all, he looked at this guy that looked like his twin. And he's now a lawyer who owns 7 law offices in Brooklyn and Manhattan. But back then he was one of the fabulous furry freak brothers. And so Garcia said to him, listen, come on backstage after the concert's over. We'll give you the interview. And he wound up partying with the Dead and Jerry Garcia for about 5 hours and wound up writing one of the longest interviews ever in Good Times Magazine. We reprinted it a couple of times, and I just heard from him, Jay Itkowitz, about a year ago, and he just wanted to know when he was going to get his residual checks, when his checks were going to come in for the times that we've used it. So these are all the things that really made Good Times' reputation nationally, by getting interviews with people that nobody else was able to get as a local publication. There was really no big publications out except Rolling Stone, and Newsday never covered really music back in the 70s, particularly in the early 70s. So we kind of found a niche. So when somebody was coming into town, they would call up Good Times and say, you'd like to do it. And this, of course, a couple of covers here. Peter Gabriel with Good Times magazine. We've got ZZ Top holding up a copy of Good Times magazine in front of a luncheonette.
I think Peter was having a bad day that day.
Yeah.
Was he doing like an Ozzy Osbourne tribute or what? What was it? What period of time was
that? Was when he was with Genesis.
Okay. Yeah.
That's when he was with Genesis. So, I mean, that's really pretty much the history of the paper. And I actually never made it to Woodstock. I got very sick and I couldn't make it up there, which was probably a good thing considering what went on. Couldn't get around and all. And that was it. And since then, we've published, until the pandemic hit, 1,294 issues. The only time we ever missed an issue was when Hurricane Sandy closed down our printing plant and all the stores.
Yeah, so the tie-dye to techno issue right there. I think that was the 1,200th issue.
That was the 1,200th issue. And now that we're back publishing, after being closed for 7 months, we're on issue number 1,296. So soon there'll be a 1,300th issue.
All right, so we're talking a lot about the history of the paper, the paper itself. Can I have one of those copies, please? So, like as a kid, I'm 47. I was born in 73. So as I started entering the music scene and going to the music stores, and I'd go out and there'd be the Good Times. There'd always be a Good Times there. So as a kid, I couldn't afford to buy magazines, maybe even you had to buy it for a while.
It was free.
It was always free.
Always free.
Okay. So I'd pick it up. Maybe those guys were just trying to sell me a paper.
They probably were. They saw you coming. They said, this guy,
he's a chump. Give me a quarter, kid. But I had a great time picking up the paper, just going through just like I do all the time. It's just got everything. It's got, food articles and restaurant reviews. It has, advertisements for people who are looking for other bandmates and people to play with, recording studios, articles on Rich, articles on all sorts of people.
Articles on Benoir.
Articles sometimes, if you're very lucky, if I'm lucky. But and now also venues, what's going on, places like my father's place and, the West Hampton Performing Arts Center and all those places. And he always has a free listing for bands and artists of what's going on, where the live gigs are. Now, this is now streamlined more towards live streams, or is it we also have all the gigs as well? Tell us about the calendar.
It's actually kind of funny. I always used to kind of laugh when somebody would say there's no entertainment going on Long Island, because up until March, when we closed down, every issue of Good Times, which came out every 2 weeks, had over 400 listings of who was appearing at all the local clubs and restaurants. And that was about 1/3 of who was actually having live shows. We would call up 100, 150 bars and restaurants every 2 weeks just to get their free listings. And until you've tried it, you don't realize how hard it is to give people free listings. Barmaids hang up on you. Owners don't want to talk to you, don't need any. They would hang up. So we just proved that there was an incredible amount. We were up to 6-7 pages of listings. What happened is when we reopened after all the clubs were closed down with these new very strict performance rules, with only incidental music, called incidental music, being allowed to be publicized, we started calling up some of the locations. Now, there is a lot of live music going on right now. It's more solo acts, duos, trios, but there's a lot going on. But when we started talking to people were hesitant to give us the listings. They said, we don't want to have it in the paper, because if somebody reads that we've got live entertainments, somebody from the SLA, State Liquor Authority, might come down, and we don't want to get in trouble. So we decided, rather than risk having anybody have any kind of problems, for a while we'd start a section called live streams and virtual shows. And it would be both national stuff, like we had Billie Eilish who had a show streamed. There's an AC/DC stream coming up in about 2 weeks. And then we would include all the local shows, all the shows that you didn't realize were out there, like this show, and shows like West Houston and Rob and Eve on the radio, all these people that are doing these shows, and people don't realize that they're out there. So again, since we reopened a month ago, it's been actually very good. We've got an amazing amount of support. Advertising has been okay. It's not great because without the performing arts centers, the Stoller centers, the Patchogue theaters, the West Hampton Performing Arts centers, that was our meat. and there's not a lot to write about in what's going on in terms of local clubs. So we've added a very big restaurant section now, dining. We've always had things in there that are a little bit oddball. The same paper that would have a bowling column would also have a Swedish and Norwegian death metal column, which was always a favorite of mine that Dave used to write. So you got country, you got rock, you got music, you got film, you got theater, you got dining. Now we've added art galleries and museums to the paper, books, because people are looking for things to do and places to go. But one of the things that amazes me, and I'm delighted to hear it, is how many people have told me they actually are picking up the paper and sitting down reading the print edition. Now, we do have a digital edition. It's free. It's at issue.com, issuu.com/goodtimesmag. But we put out 10,000 copies of Good Times in over 300-400 locations. We want you to make a special trip out and pick up the paper. And we want you to patronize the guys who are out there, the Murphy's Music of the world and the In Focus Eyewears and all the people that are part of the music universe here on Long Island. Because unless we support each other at a time like this, none of us are going to still be standing. So I think it's important for people to realize, whether it's buying a CD or going to a show or going to a restaurant and supporting it, it's real important. And of course, we need advertisers. So if there's anybody out there that has a business, it doesn't have to be a music related business. We just added a real estate firm. We added a health and wellness center. We've got a lawyer, 2 lawyers advertising, because again, the people we reach are tremendously into the content, both the ads and the articles. So again, we really thank everybody out there that supported all of these years. And when we came back out, one of the things that really made me excited was just all the people who either contacted us or emailed us or answered Facebook postings saying, great to see you back. We don't know what the scene would be without you. And I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. We got a very, very, very small staff. We got 3 unbelievable guys who distribute the paper to 400 locations by hand. So it's not easy putting out the paper. And we also have 4 to 5 months back rent to take care of. And we've got all these other great expenses. But again, it's just there's so much talent out here. And we want to just keep doing what we've been doing for 51 years, hoping that Good Times will be around for another 51 years.
So Rich, goodtimesmag.com, it's a good place to go to check out, the issues. You can click on it. There's some interviews, some videos, some history, some pictures. That's goodtimesmag.com. Of course, you want to get the paper edition. I love it. And the West End Pizza in Long Beach is always the spot I go for, to get the paper.
Now you can go to the cafe.
And now the cafe, one of our sponsors at the corner of New York Avenue, where they also often have live incidental music as well with guys who look a lot like us, mostly on Saturday night. So this whole era, of like not being able to necessarily talk about live performances and should you not, it's quite maddening. And now even today, there's new protocols and rules being put out on 1010 Wins and News 12 that suddenly you can't gather past 10 p.m. in a bar or a restaurant. It's just really hard. I understand we want to be safe and we want to follow the rules and we want to protect people.
You got to learn how to eat very fast.
Yeah,
you got to digest
let's just
very
say
fast.
We're a little bit affected, us musicians and entertainers and
it's terrible,
venues.
right?
And music entertainment papers too. I think they're affected. So let's talk a little bit about last year before the pandemic. And we're not going to talk about the pandemic. We're going to talk about your vision, which I thought was incredible. Rich has always been supporting the music scene, the industry, entertainment, venues, everything. And he came up with a concept for the Long Island Music Business Association. There's the flyer. That was the advertisement to, get people interested and tell them what the mission was. I was excited. A lot of my friends and musicians were excited. We contacted you. And this week was supposed to be this. We also have the flyer for the week. This week was supposed to be this big Long Island
Music Week.
Right this week. You had all these plans. This was back in April, February, March.
Right. Well,
tell us about it. Tell us a little bit about this.
We're actually still moving ahead with the Long Island Music Business Association. Is an idea I've had for the last 30 years. And it finally came about. The idea behind it is it's really like a chamber of commerce, but for businesses. It's not for individuals. It's not for musicians per se, but it's for anybody that's in the music business. It could be a recording and rehearsal studio. It could be a videographer. It could be somebody who's a booking agent, club owners, anything that has to do with the music business, but people who are actually doing it as a business. And the idea is by all working together, we can promote the entire music scene. We need to keep that identity going, that Long Island music is separate. So we came up with the idea of Long Island Music Week, which was supposed to be this past weekend. And the way it was going to work was very simple. First, it was going to be the Support Long Island Music Festival, which is kind of a great idea considering everything that happened since then. But we're going to go ahead with it next November. And we're talking about 200 acts appearing at 150 different locations. And each club that's part of the festival will book their own acts. It's not like the old Long Island Music Festival we used to have, which was a competition. So here, now we've got 150 bars and restaurants and clubs all promoting the shows, which mostly will be free. So people can come out and do a sampling of all different acts and people that were out there. So that was going to run for 3 nights. Then we were going to have a recording rehearsal studio open house. We had 20 to 25 studios, names like Dare and Cove City, Sabella Studios. And people would be able to come down to these studios, meet the owners, meet the engineers, and go one-on-one with them. So that's something that, really looked like it was going to be a big deal. People still think that you can record at home and you're going to get the same quality as when somebody that's a professional does mixing for you. Not true. And last but not least, the third part of it was going to be Super Music Store Weekend. We had about 20 different music retailers who are going to be doing all kinds of special sales and giveaways. So again, this is all going to be rescheduled, hopefully for November 2021. Anybody that's got a business of any kind that would like to be part of the Long Island Music Business Association, just contact us. Pick up a copy of Good Times. The ad's always in there. And again, it's exactly like what we're doing here tonight. We're networking, we're showcasing it. If anybody out there has their own live streams or their own shows or their own radio shows, just email it over to Good Times Magazine, and we'll be happy to run it for free in the virtual and streaming section.
So great. The strength in numbers, and the people on your board are superb.
What a coincidence. You're on the board, aren't you,
Hey.
Ben? 12 of the most prestigious people. We've put the owner of Mulcahy's on there, the owner of KJ Farrell's. We've put people from the Patchogue Theater, the West Hampton Beach Performing Arts Center, the owner of the Long Island Drum Center, the owner of Murphy's Music, music publicist, Dave Saul. We've got quite a group, the owner of Looney Tunes, Carl Groger. So we've got 12 people who are all well-known and people that have just survived for 10, 15, 20 years. So they can add a lot to what newcomers need to know.
And that was the criteria before the pandemic. We had survived up until the pandemic, and you were impressed. And now the pandemic hits, and some of us are surviving. We're pretty much all those guys are surviving, and the ladies too. I want to just mention one more thing, because we have a special guest who's coming on after Rich today. Also, Beyond Zen, Nikki Fader from Long Beach. We love her, and we're going to get her on. So the Ukulele Festival, we really reconnected. We connected a few years ago when I did the competition, the Long Island Music Festivals and all that, and we stayed friendly and all that. You even reviewed my 11561 CD, and but this Ukulele Festival, you kept on putting ads out about large Stairway to Heaven with ukuleles, and that interested. Couple of times we're trying to get it off the ground, and then you combine it with this Ukulele Kids Club benefit.
It was basically a gimmick. I mean, about 3 years ago, I came up with the idea. Says, let's try and break the world's record for the most number of ukulele players, and we were going to do Stairway to Heaven. And it just kind of took off from there. And all of a sudden, I never realized how many ukulele players were out there until I started meeting them. And we did the first ukulele festival at the Landmark on Main Street. It was very successful. It was a Sunday afternoon. And we had everybody from groups of kids from different music schools to the Long Beach Ukulele Orchestra to Ukulele Ed, who's a very well-known ukulele player here on Long Island. Plus, he's our cartoonist, Ukulele Ed, The Adventures of Ukulele Ed. So it was exciting. We've always kind of looked for wacky, weird things. Years ago, I had 15 different college campuses, students from campuses having a 8-foot superhero eating contest over at Hofstra. Whoever could eat it the biggest and the fastest. We run the Chocolate Lovers Binge. We ran the Ice Cream Fantasy. We ran the Long Island Music Festival for 16 years, where we brought the best bands to places like South by Southwest and Memphis Crossroads. So the idea of coming up with promotions is the fun part of what we do. And yeah, I reconnected with Ben. And one of the reasons I actually put him on the board was I was so impressed on the way he was networking and selling tickets and just promoting the event all across the board. And that's exactly what we need. You know, when you have a board of directors, usually you have people who just sit there. I'm on a couple of board of directors, and half the people don't show up or they don't participate. So I wanted people that were active, not just people that were superstars and weren't going to work.
When in doubt, do something, right? What's the Harry Chapin, the documentary title?
That's Harry Chapin. When in doubt, do something.
When in doubt, do something. That's definitely our motto.
That's
and our
what it
creed.
is.
So yeah, I also loved Ukulele Ed's performance and his cartoons in your paper. They're very entertaining. I love it. Very funny. Adam Wilbur was one of the players. Very, very great guy. We connected well. And Bach to Rock, Port Washington, they were awesome. I want to mention that. You know, we really connected. And Jeff from Murphy's Music, correct?
Right.
Yes, he was really integral in that festival and his students and everybody. So, yeah, Rich, it's been so good to have you here. I suggest everybody head to goodtimesmag.com. And
Actually, best place to see the Good Times is issue.com, issuu.com/goodtimesmag. We don't really use the goodtimesmag.com very much because it's a website, and I don't believe in websites.
I just know for me, like the ISSUU.com is a little harder for me as a 47-year-old. I like the goodtimesmag.com. Either one, just go there. Just get the paper and just support Long Island, support yourself, support Rich Brown, support also Long Island Music Hall of Fame inductee. So congratulations on that as well. In 2018, I believe.
2018. They were going to do it for our 40th anniversary, didn't. They were going to do it for my 45th anniversary, didn't. Then it came time, it was pushing our 50th anniversary. They weren't going to do it for the 50th anniversary either. They were going to wait to the 75th anniversary of Good Times. But then they looked at the actuarial charts and they figured, not that great a chance that 25 years from now we'll be able to do it. So finally got inducted into the Long Island Music Hall of Fame. And it was a lot of fun.
Congratulations, Rich.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to go to Angeline Dreams, another track off of Johnny Mystic's album. Enjoy that.
Angeline dreams of the love she needs. Silently, she sighs deep inside and dreams that she will meet the love of her life, and hopes that time will be her guiding light. Angeline, Angeline, Angeline. Angeline cast herself in a Hollywood movie every day as a romantic leading lady who plays the role of a lucky billionaire's wife and living her longed for luxurious life. Angeline, Angeline, Angeline. But the days flash by just like lightning. She wonders why nothing's happening. Only her faith soothes her mind. She tells herself to be patient, not alone. No, she's waiting as she gently rolls down her bed. Angeline, Angeline, Angeline. knows that it's all imagined. Stoically, she'll claim it for the right reason. That dreaming is her constitutional right. Sometimes dreaming is how you get through life. Angeline.
All right, that was Angeline Dreams from the Astral Taurus.
The Astral Taurus, Angeline.
And just like that, voila, we have Nikki Fader from Beyond Zen Massage in Long Beach, and she is an amazing person as well. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So I've experienced a few of your wonderful healing massages over the years. Usually when I'm just like, and I can't take life anymore, and I'm like, Nikki, can you know? So like she saves me. And recently I've been following your Instagram. I think it's Zen Girl 19. There it is. And you know, you've been posting more about the card reading and that sort of thing. So you know, I also went to your website and it lists which is beyondzenmassage.com, and you know, all the things the modalities she offers include acupressure, aromatherapy, breath therapy, deep tissue, hydrotherapy, guidance reading, myofascial release, prenatal, reflexology, Swedish, AIS, IET, hot stone. I mean, come on, this is like, there's so many things you
Hot
offer.
stone.
So
I like
anyway,
that.
enough of
Sounds
me
good to
talking.
me.
People don't want to hear me.
Hot tamale.
Tell us about what you do.
I do a little bit of everything at my office.
Oh.
And it's just keeps evolving. And so all those things are just things that I've learned throughout the years, and they're all so different, from massage to energy work to readings to intuitive work. It's aromatherapy. I'm exploring it all. It's all just about healing, however you can do it. So yeah, it's an evolution of everything. Active isolated stretching can help people with, you know, injuries from working out or weekend warriors or whatever it is. And if you're not into touch massage, you can get energy healing, which is so helpful.
Like Reiki, you talk
Like
about,
Reiki
yeah.
and active isolated IET, which is integrative energy therapy.
Right.
Working with angels. That's how I got started working with angels, from that specific therapy. And then I started studying more about angels, and then I started with the cards, and they turned into more than just angel cards.
So you use angel cards, you don't use tarot.
I use angel cards, I use moon cards, I use soul coaching cards, I use earth magic cards. They're cards from all of the creators' assistants to us.
Right, exactly.
That's how I feel.
Yeah,
Like they're all of our assistants.
Yeah, I
From
think,
whether it's the moon
Yeah.
or it's crystals or it's, you know, goddesses, or, you know, there's so many things to heal us. And this is all part of Beyond Zen healing. You know,
You have a really wonderful space there too. It's
Yeah.
intimate, and it's really nice in there. You feel really at home.
Thank you. And I have a garden there too, which I absolutely like. Start to cultivate, you know, the aromatherapy with rosemary and lavender and mint and all that stuff, and incorporating it into my massage. I love it all. So whatever I could use for healing, I'll put it all together and give it all to you.
So Mystic Noir, you know, where music meets spirituality, that's our tagline. And I felt like, you know, this was a good show to have, you know, Good Times Magazine featured, and then, you know, Beyond Zen featured. You share also with Johnny, you know, this passion for, you know, the mystic side of things, the, you know, the ethereal, and the, you know, the appreciation and the wonder and the connection and the helping, the healing.
Yeah.
So, you know, Johnny, what do you want to say about what she's been up to?
well, I myself practice the tarot. I'm not that familiar with these type of decks, but my feeling on it is that almost any kind of card system would work to help unlock the unconscious mind, and then get link into messages. And because it said that the tarot was devised by, different people that came together, wise men from different faiths and different philosophies way back, and they put their ideas in it so it wouldn't belong to any of them. It would be a combination of astrology and other things, numerology, Kabbalah, all of these ideas that were prevalent at the time, alchemy, and they fused them together in this system that seems to be like the Kabbalah. But in the end, I think that after having done it so many years, that I think it's just a catalyst. I do, because you could read them literally, you could read them, what the meaning of the actual written meaning was. And there's a lot of ways to do it. But in the end, I think we're always looking to have a dialogue of some sort, with somebody. Yeah.
I definitely feel like the dialogue from your guides comes through the cards.
Yeah, that's what I think it is.
And I believe that the person that facilitates that, their intuition, their ego, all of that has to be put to the side. They're just the vessel, basically.
Yeah. If that's very hard to do, but the more that it's easier to do it for people you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
because you just kind of be able to go blank and you don't know them, and you try to stay out. When you know them, it becomes a little tricky.
Right, but even when you do know them,
the
cards are so clear.
Yeah.
If the person who is reading the cards, or the intention is to heal a person, that comes through in somehow, some way. Even synchronistically, there are so many different signs that we get from the universe, not even just cards, but from the universe.
Oh yeah.
That
dreams, even being awake and looking at what's
feathers
going on.
and green lights, or a song that comes on the radio. It's all part of.
Yeah, it's all relevant,
part of,
right?
Yeah, it's all part of the message and the signs that you're getting from your guides.
Today is Veterans Day, and so I just wanted to acknowledge that. So thanks to all of our military and those who serve. And, my father was he was in the Army, and he passed away when I was 3 years old. And I always believe that he was my guardian angel. He has been my guardian angel. I mean, there have been times when I've been in car accidents or almost accidents, or whatever, and I always felt like he was there looking over me. He's like my guardian angel, really. Also, tying that into, you posted something about the Gaia card the other day. Now, can you explain a little bit about Gaia?
Yeah, Gaia's Earth.
Yeah.
Gaia is just everything that we can embrace about Earth and what we get from Earth, and it's just the whole being. So that's like, energy from the Earth and signs from the Earth. But today's 11/11 too. So that's an angel day. And it just so happens that, this was supposed to happen another time. And now here I am on today's date.
Yeah, the 11/11.
I feel like
it's
it
got
was very
power.
synchronistic.
Yeah,
Yes.
in numerology, it has power. It's
Yes.
a master number
It is a master.
that deals with illumination
Yes.
and
Transformation,
compassion,
manifestation.
and the magical realms of all sorts. Really, that's what it's. That's what it is.
Another magical coincidence is that both of you have read my cards, and both of you have been very spot on with what was going on in my life or how I was feeling, and so that's an example of people who know someone close doing the card reading. I think that it's also great because there's all these forms of sort of structured, expected ways of behaving to let's say you just have things to talk about, and it's always suggested to go the route of a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a counselor, whereas a good friend or someone could just lay out a couple of cards and you could talk about things. I feel like that's kind of the healing process. That's not so. It just doesn't feel as stale and cold, which although some psychiatrists and psychologists like our friend Steve Acaro, I'm sure he's wonderful, and I've actually been to someone who I really appreciated his help. It's an interesting thing. So the cards, they just spark conversation. You know,
They also give you a takeaway too, something to work on,
An
Yeah.
image.
something to
Yes.
something to reflect
Yeah.
upon, something to kind of cultivate a little bit more, a little bit of push this way or a little push that way.
yeah,
You know,
it's
just
a fun surprise from the universe.
yes.
You know?
It really is, because I mean, I have moon cards and gem cards and
Native
there's
American
just
cards.
Native American cards, keepers of the light, which is every type of healing bead you can
Why
possibly
don't you
think
do us?
of.
Why don't you do Mystic Noir? Just a quick pull a card or two for our show.
For the show?
Yeah.
I could do a moon card for the show. What do you think?
Please.
All right.
My daughter's name's Luna, so if
Oh,
you're
that's
watching,
a great-
Luna,
that's a-
hey.
I would love to pull a moon card for the show. This is just for the masses and for you guys. And
Did you see the
everyone
moon
here.
last night? It was hanging. It was just like just a little bit of a smile last night.
Really?
Like a little sliver.
Oh, I missed
came
it.
out of
I
the
didn't-
studio Noir last night after working on the show. Oh boy.
It's magical in all of its phases, the moon, and it gives you so much guidance too. I've been recently looking more into the moon phases because I got this moonology deck, so it's teaching me. Also, these cards teach you about things that you would never really think about yourself. Like,
Mhm.
for instance, these gemstones. When I first started working as a therapist, I had an incident in the beginning stages of my working in clinic. Actually, I put my hands on somebody and I started to feel her pain, and I could not stop feeling her pain, that I was crying the whole time I was working on her. And my supervisor comes in and she says to me, and she like gestures to me, what are you, are you all right? Like, what's the matter with you? And I just could not stop feeling this woman's pain. So she said to me that I needed to ground myself. And I didn't know what that was, because in massage school, they teach you how to massage. They don't teach you all the other stuff. They just send you out there with massage technique. So she said to me, you need to find, ways to ground yourself. And the crystals have helped me tremendously. My first crystal that I used was tourmaline. And, I really didn't think much of it. And then I started thinking, wow, I've been using crystals my whole life to help me.
Mhm.
I don't know. I didn't know they were helping me, but I just was gravitating towards them. I gravitated towards, your necklaces, and they all mean for, different purposes, but they help us. It's so many ways. Once you start to observe. All right, so let's see what the moon has to say for you guys. Hold your vision, fixed moon. So I would pull a card and I would give my intuitive guidance on that. So hold your vision and fixed moon, but I can't possibly know what all of these cards are saying. So of course I would look the card up too and give some guidance with the cards. But this definitely is something about, I feel like, the show itself. It's a vision. It's a vision of yours and his. Just keep holding it and putting it out there for people, because it's a beautiful thing and it's cultivating new life and new interest for so many different people. So this card is basically, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the message from this card and from this time of the moon, which is a fixed moon, which is kind of not quite half a moon, but it's almost a half a moon, but a very visible half of a moon. And it's staying in your power. Faith and patience are needed. Someone needs to back down, avoid stagnation. A personal or professional relationship will be enduring. So these are just, small examples of a lot of the description that the card would give you. But the card itself also can spark something in you that helps you to reflect upon it once you walk away from the deck and from the reading and everything. But like when you see that moon, you'll reflect upon what this card taught you. And quite possibly it could be like the optimal time to remind you.
I love
And
this.
that's what that
I love
is.
it.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful.
Thank you.
We're gonna play some live music for you.
Oh,
We
I'm
have
excited.
we have a music director, and a filmmaker in the wings. His name is S.A. Barron, and we'd like to. Come on out now. We have a few minutes left, so what we propose to do is play a song called "The Best Is Yet," and it'd be great to have you with us here somehow. We'll
I
figure
could
that
stand
out.
over there. So
Yeah,
wants to come and hang over
please
there.
stay.
I
And
would love to stay.
I mean, I could stand as well.
No,
I
that's
could,
quite all right.
come on over and come sit. Come on. And
I'll stand right
yeah, this is a song that you heard in the beginning of the show, and this song goes out to everybody, but also to you, Nikki. Thanks for coming down on the show.
Yes,
It's
thank
called
you,
The Best
Nikki.
Is
That was
Yet.
really nice. Thank you very much. I was listening to your
Look at that.
dissertation on
Poof.
it. And
S.A. Baron, he's here.
It's unbelievable. How'd I get here?
so I
Now,
wrote
don't
this
play
song.
any of his copyrighted videos from Warner Brothers this show, okay? Because he did the first Joe Satriani video, and then
We got flagged.
anyway, we had an issue with that. What's up, Joe?
I was thinking that, it's always the best is always coming. That's I live every day like that.
Oh, one more thing. The sun picture is from Cynthia Rios. Shout out to her. She's one of my new tribal members on Facebook. I just love her photography. So thanks a lot, Cynthia.
Yesterday, I turned 100. In my mind, I'm still just 25. I can't say all my time threw away, but I know now just how to play. Because I need you all across the board. See Paris, I swam a wine show. How many prayers and things of rain and when I'm still here after all these years. The best man yet, the best man yet. I'm still here after all these years. The best man yet. I'm still here after all these years. I saw the birds, real airplane. I rode motor cars and cars, pain. I marched for peace, civil rights, and the subjects. Oh yeah. How long until those terrorists find the terrorists? Because I lived through wars across the board. I seen Paris slam the wire show. How many prayers have been supreme? And where? I'm still here after all these years. The best I did. I'm still here after all these years. The best I did.
'cause I live you all across the phone. I see Paris, I swam Hawaiian show. I'm in Paris, it's a dream. And when I'm still here after all these years, the best hell yet, the best hell yet. I'm still here after all these years, the best hell yet, the best hell yet. I'm still here after all these years, the best hell yet, best hell yet. I'm still here after all these years, the best hell yet. I'm still here after all these years, the best hell yet. Best hell yet, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, 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 oh. I'm still here after all these years, the best hell yet. I'm still here after all these years.
Johnny Mystic, everybody. All right, so we like to thank
Yes.
S.A. Barron.
Yeah.
Rich
Watch a
Bronson
movie on
for
Amazon.
Watch the
Number
movie.
8
Oh,
on
go
Amazon.
ahead.
Documentaries.
The Harry Chapin.
Harry Chapin.
documentary.
When in doubt, do something.
When in doubt, do something.
It's on FiOS. It's on it's on all the different cable systems, and Amazon. It's doing really well.
And it's doing
And the
well.
DVDs are selling like hotcakes. Who would?
The DVD.
That's the Harry audience, I
Really?
guess. They
Really?
still
And
buying DVDs, right?
It's
Nice.
good. It's
They're
spiritual
probably selling
food.
VHSs too. I think maybe.
Cassette
Right when
tapes.
you say it's spiritual food, right?
That's
It's food for the soul.
Thanks to Nikki.
Really, thank you,
Jan
Nikki.
Zen.
Yes, thank you, my friend.
And we're going to take you out with some of the sponsored pictures. Thanks again to Leah Totzer, Daniel Gale Sotheby's Realty, the Cabana, the Cafe, Angel Flower Creations, Arts in the Plaza, Studio Noir, and everybody who watches the show. We see your comments. We love you. And thanks to New York Photo Video Group. They're the ones producing the show.
Yes.
Steve Vaccaro, Chapters Wrap. And that's a wrap, guys.
That's a wrap. Thank you. See you next week.
Ciao, fun.
God bless us and protect us through wave after wave. Deliver us from flood waters, let us live another day. The Atlantic crossed the boardwalk, traumatized folks who stay. And I pray, Lord, I pray. God bless us and protect us. This is where we want to stay.